Hello.
Okay. Hello.
How are you?
I'm well. This is Andrew.
This is Michelle. This is an episode 2 of our thing,
Yeah.
where we're talking about things that keep us distracted and happy.
Yeah.
We were going to call it Reasons to be Cheerful, but that name has been taken.
Yeah. So we've called it Bright Onions, and there's a reason for that. And the reason is, it's taken a few takes to get this. The reason is that people from Brighton are sometimes called Brightonians, and it's a bright onions. Anyway.
They're sometimes called other things as well, but this play on words is what we're saying.
It's a play on words.
Yeah. This is week 1 of the lockdown.
Yeah.
But you know, as we say, we're coping quite well. We're getting things to distract us and to talk about.
Yeah.
And we're keeping it to things that are, you know, fairly sort of potentially accessible to most.
Yeah, things that we're hoping a lot of people might be inspired to do. So last time we chatted about the TV show Outlander.
Yeah.
I was just about to call it Highlander, which is
Nobody makes that mistake.
which is equally good.
Yeah.
But this time it's your turn.
Yeah, I thought I'd talk about another TV series.
Okay.
Because I have to admit that I hadn't particularly been paying attention to the career of Mackenzie Crook
Yes.
since he left The Office. You know, I enjoyed Gareth in The Office and stuff, but I was aware that he was in the Pirates of the Caribbean films, but I hadn't really paid attention to anything else.
Mhm.
And it occurs to me that if you are going to be a reasonably, you know, good supporting character in Pirates of the Caribbean films, presumably earning a decent amount of money, then what you probably are inclined to do is come home and write and direct your own stuff. And it seems like a gorgeous thing. And I'd not really paid attention to this show called Detectorists. It wasn't really a thing that I didn't know if it was for me or not. I was just aware that it was about, as I now know is not the correct phrase, it's not about metal detectors.
Metal detectorists or anything like that.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Which is the correct?
That's the gag, that they are not metal detectors. They use metal detectors.
Yes,
but
they are
themselves
detectorists.
Yeah. And I don't know if I particularly considered it was for me, so it passed me by. And I hadn't seen any chatter or comment on it. But then this Christmas just gone, Wurzel Gummidge came up.
Yeah.
And I seem to be the only person in my immediate sphere who was actually quite looking forward to that.
I didn't like the idea of it at all.
No.
And I found the original Wurzel Gummidge a little bit scary.
And also the people who were fans of the original Wurzel Gummidge, they were quite evangelical about that. Talking about it being the original. It isn't the original, actually. There's a couple of versions earlier than that.
Okay.
But everyone was sort of go, you can't replace John Pertwee. And I don't know if I found that a bit of a curious sort of thing of the definitive anything is something that I struggle with anyway. And I didn't have any particular problem with saying that John Pertwee might not be. It's a great show, and it's that cultic sort of scary sort of 70s children's TV, which is glorious in its own sense. But I'm not sure that you can say that he might necessarily be the definitive Wurzel Gummidge anymore. You can necessarily say he's definitive Doctor Who. That really suggests on what you think that show is. Yeah. So I was quite looking forward to Wurzel Gummidge, this new version. And I don't think even then I was quite prepared for what it was, and then working out that it was written and directed by Mackenzie Crook, but how still it was, and how gorgeous it was, and the humour and the wit behind it. And it was something that, and we're going to talk about Detectorists properly in a moment, but something that I've really enjoyed in something like Wurzel Gummidge and another show that we've been watching recently, This Country, is moments of just kindness and strange nobility that I saw in Wurzel Gummidge. And then somebody on my thread said, oh, actually it's not surprising when you consider that he wrote and directed Detectorists. And I thought, oh, hang on, okay, I need to check this out. And it was very difficult not to binge it immediately, because it had the same moments of stillness. I don't want to say that there were moments in it that were much better than it had a right to be.
Yeah.
But there were some artistic choices, and knowing that it all comes from, you know, from the writing and directing of Mackenzie Crook, there were some moments in there that were just so sheer poetry and beauty. And also a thing that I really enjoyed in both Wurzel and Detectorist is a thing that I think that me and he would get on well on the writing.
Okay.
Because of this one thing that he clearly enjoys and I really enjoy, but I've met nobody in real life that will indulge me on this. And it's something that I can only call the unearned pause.
Tell me about that.
So the unearned pause for me is when somebody will say a thing, person A will say a thing, person B will misunderstand that or say something that's a bit at odds to that, and then they will follow a pause. And then person A will say something that's unrelated. But at no point are either characters mugging for the camera or rolling their eyes at the stupidity they're asking for the salt, they're not asking for the laugh. And that whole sort of thing of they're not begging for you to understand the gag. They just have a pause. They dismiss it. They don't even telegraph that they're dismissing it. I just find that poetry.
That's brilliant. And so that's in Detectorists as well.
Yes, it's in Detectorists as well. And the other thing that I quite like about it is that it does a lot of sitcom tropes in an original way, or at least in an unexpected way. So you've got the two lead characters who are feckless, somewhat aimless male characters, and they both have beautiful, strong female wives or partners, and at no point does it go into the tropes necessarily of being the long-suffering wife trope or whatever. When there's disagreements, misunderstandings, you really get it. They're born out of really anxious conversations or frustrations, or there'll be a misunderstanding, argument set up that one or both characters go, "Oh, that happened," and they'll go, "Oh, okay," and it's like the argument is diffused. What would have fueled a sitcom in the 70s for an entire episode is just dismissed in a minute.
Really big moments that you think, oh, that's going to be huge, and it just isn't about that. So where do you find that?
No, this is Detectorist is an iPlayer at least. I think that's the main platform that I know of it at the moment.
Okay.
Obviously some DVD and stuff as well.
Okay, so Detectorist is yours. So next time we
we'll go back to you.
We'll chat. We'll go back to me.
You may not want to answer, but do you have any idea what you're gonna?
No, I have to think something that makes me happy. There's a lot, culture wise, and the arts and the arts. So I was thinking books and films and things to absorb. So there's loads. So I'll have a think about something.
So these are so far 2 things to make you happy and cheerful watching on the screen. Outlander.
Yes. And
Detectorist.
Yeah.
Have fun. Take care. Look after yourself.
Bye bye.